Hello there, everyone. It's Matthew Hunt here from Powered by Search, and today's webinar is going to be about learning the secrets of running a successful AdWords campaigns for multi-location businesses. That's a bit of a mouthful. They're really not secrets. They're there for everybody to know, but a lot of people just don't know some of the high-end tips that you need to do to make this work. A little bit before we get into this, I just wanted to introduce myself so that you know who I am. This is me. I'm Matthew Hunt. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at Powered by Search. Powered by Search is a digital marketing agency, a full digital marketing agency. We help our clients with paid advertising online, with SEO. We help them with conversion rate optimization, web design, doing social media marketing, and so forth. If there's marketing and it's online, we do it. I've got 8 years experience now doing PPC. The story of me learning how to do PPC is really interesting. It's actually the first thing I learned how to do. If we go back in time, about 8 years ago, back in 2007, I was a door-to-door salesperson. And I sold point of sale terminals and ATM machines on straight commission. And what I realized doing that was that doing door to door sales is really difficult. I was actually pretty good at it, pretty successful, but I knew there had to be a better way. And being a fairly young lad at the time, I knew of Google. And I thought, hey, people must be just going directly to Google to think about, I have a new business. I need a credit card processing machine. And I bet you they're searching for it. And I bet you if I got a website up there and could get my website in front of those people who are searching for that, the way that I search for things, I would probably be able to get new business without having to chase them down. They would be chasing me. And so I got a buddy of mine who I knew how to build websites, and I had him build me this sort of, at the time it was good. If I look back at it right now, this crappy one-page website. And I bought Perry Marshall's Definitive Guide to AdWords, and I read that and started learning how to do it. I started driving traffic towards that website and learning how to do PPC and self-taught myself until I got really good at it. It actually made me one of the number one salespeople without anyone knowing within that organization because I was able to generate leads, through paid advertising. I still say to this day, after managing hundreds of accounts and working with small businesses as well as enterprise type businesses, the number one thing all businesses must figure out first before they go and do anything else is figure out how to make PPC profitable, how to make AdWords profitable for their business. Because if they can, and they can feed the machine and it's predictable lead generation, then everything else is gravy. So I always think this is the first thing you need to figure out. If you figure this out, it informs everything else that you're doing. So paid traffic, online, digitally is the number one thing you need to figure out. A little bit about myself. My expertise is mostly in lead generation around you people who need leads for businesses. So as well as focusing with multi-location type businesses, hence why this webinar is going to be about how to run and set up a successful AdWords campaigns for multi-location businesses. So this is for people who want to drive more phone calls or more in-store visits to their business, bricks and mortar businesses. This is not going to be a focus on e-commerce. However, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about right now today is going to be valuable to all sorts of people. So let's just quickly get into what's on the agenda today. So today's agenda, what we're going to be talking about is we want to talk about why you need to care about mobile ads, okay? We're also going to talk about why phone leads are worth 3 times more than your regular form leads if you have that type of business where you want, phone calls and in-store visits. Why geofencing and bid adjustments are super important to multi-location businesses. And we're going to give you some real tips on how to drive more phone calls and how to drive those in-store visits. And we're also going to talk about display campaigns. So for those that don't display, we're going to talk about what that is a little later on, but why they're awesome and why you need to be participating in it. The number one thing I see with a lot of multi-location businesses or brick and mortar businesses, they're just not doing it. Or if they're doing it, they're not doing it well. And we also want to talk about how to use smart remarketing, not just, blindly remarketing things. And again, if you don't know what remarketing is, don't worry, we're going to get into explaining what it is to maximize your revenues. So the question is, why do you need to care about mobile ads? Well, here's one reason. This is a U.S. local search market study that was done. So in 2015, it looks like mobile search volumes will surpass desktop search volumes for the first time. And by 2016, they expect mobile to exceed desktop by 27 billion queries. And this is for the US, but this really applies to any sort of English speaking country, whether it's Canada or through the UK. This really applies. And this is important of why mobile is important, okay? I'm seeing already in some of the niches we're in, for example, like one example of a niche we're in this beauty school niche where we have about a dozen clients there. We help them, get more enrollments, more students to join their school. And we're noticing with the younger generation there, these are students who are 18 to sort of 25 who are going to the school, where we're seeing a decrease in desktop searches by about 8 to 10%. But the good news is there's an increase by 33% on the mobile, okay? But what does this mean to your business? So if you need to get phone calls or drive more visits to your store, it means that mobile is really going to be really important to you. And look at this data here. If you look at this data here, isn't this interesting that 50% of all people who search for a business on their phone will usually visit that store within one day? Whereas opposed to on the desktop on a computer, it's 34. So mobile has stronger commercial intent to actual buyers. People who are on their phone are buyers. Basically, at the end of the day, this says 1 in 3 people search on smartphones before they visit a store, so they actually always double check it. As well as once they're in your store and they're looking at your products or your services, they're also comparing. 15% of them are actually doing comparison shopping on the spot. So it's really, really important that, you have a lot of things optimized within your paid campaigns as well as your website for mobile. This trend is not going away. So a lot of times people are asking me this, why are phone calls worth 3 times more? Well, let's look at this screenshot here. Let's look at the desktop screenshot on the left here, and let's look at the screenshot on the right. What is the difference? Well, the major difference is this. If you look at the right on the phone, I see 2 paid ads and then 1 organic listing. That's what I see above the fold. Where on the left here, I see 3 ads, 3 organic, a bunch of ads on the right. So on desktop, you sort of have 10 almost. Above the fold, you probably have 5 ad spots that you can be in. And you probably have about 3 organic spots where you're visible before you have to scroll down the page. However, on mobile, if you're not running ads and you're not in the number 1 position organically, you're invisible unless someone scrolls down. And really, if they're finding what they need right there, why would they scroll down? So in this example, if I was a truck rental company and I was searching and I was in Toronto, and this is not the ad that you're seeing because I did the search in Toronto for truck rental, on the mobile ad, you're completely invisible. You need to optimize your mobile ads, and we're going to talk about how to do that a little bit later on. Let's look at also why it's worth more too. Let's look at the buying cycle. So let's look at the desktop conversion funnel. So there's 4 steps to this. Someone sees the ad, someone clicks on the ad. Step 3 is they visit your website, and then the lead is captured either through a phone call or through a web form and so forth. This is 4 steps. Also note, after working with hundreds and hundreds of websites now over the last 8 years, I'd say the average conversion rate to a website is 3%. And that's probably being generous. I do believe there's lots of websites out there and websites that we work with that do way better than that, but that's because they're actively working at conversion rate optimization and they really have their stuff together. But most websites, it's probably more like 3%. Let's look at the mobile conversion funnel, okay? Someone sees the ad. Someone calls your business, the lead is captured. They even removed the extra step of going to your website. If we go back up to this slide over here, take a look at this. There's a click to call button right there. If you look at the screenshot there for mobile, we literally skip a step, and so that's why it's worth 3 times more than getting over to your website. And so it's really, really important that that you set up your ads properly and that you bid strong enough to show up in those top 2 positions. Now, a lot of people ask all the time, what is it that the customers want to see? What do they want to see in an ad? Well, the great thing is Google went out of their way to tell us exactly what it is that we need to show in our ads. They did this big survey, and basically the data came back as this. On smartphones, they want to know your business hours. They want to know where you're located. They want to see an address and be able to get directions to your store. And they also want to see the phone number as well. On computers, they want to see the availability of the product at the store, the business hours, the address, and phone number, okay? Note that on commercial, they're still making informational searches, trying to decide whether they're going to buy or not or go. But on business, much stronger commercial intent to be able to show up. And we should be able to take note of this because even here when I look at this screenshot here, when I search oil change in Canada, if you look below the ads here in the Google Maps section, what does Google Maps show? They show the name of the business, the reviews, the address, and the phone number. They literally give us exactly, they're giving users exactly what they want. And so in our ads, we should also do that. You have the ability to be able to give them your address, your phone number, and other information like that to help them be able to review your product, make the decision from your ad of whether they want to get in touch with you. If you look at these two businesses here, right here, so gm.ca and superiortire.ca, do you see any address? The answer is no for those that didn't get that. Do you see a phone number there? Again, the answer is no for those that didn't see that. Any reviews or anything associated with? No, you don't see that. What I do see is I do see some of the call out extensions and site links, which is good. So they're doing some things in the right way. I was also really surprised not to see Mr. Lube bidding on this in PPC. So they rank there organically and they rank very well in Google Maps with 3 locations. However, there's no paid advertising. I would think that they would want to do the paid advertising too so they can control almost the entire part of the page. If I was in Mr. Lube and Mr. Lube, if I was watching this, I'd be running these ads. Now let's take a look at the same search result, but for the US in Austin. So if I look at this, look at how they set up their ads. They've got the ads, even in the right and the top here, particularly the top 2, have their address and a phone number listed, as well as that they're linking to their reviews. They have their site links that are in here, and very specific site links that have sort of benefits: free alignment check, free engine light check, $18.95 special charge. The one above is linking to coupons. The other one is saying find your local store, and the other one is saying, the oil change is at $19.99 and that that's there. One's even calling out that specifically that it's Cyber Week. This is good stuff. Some of the people who are running the Canadian ads need to learn a thing or two from what they're doing in the US. Look how much more screen real estate they have too. This is what you want to do. These options are available in your AdWords account, and you definitely want to be acting on them if you have a business, particularly multi-location business, where you want to drive more in-store visits and more phone calls. You want to do this in your ad. Make it easy for users to buy from you, particularly on mobile. If we take a look at mobile, let's look at the comparison between Canada, okay, here, and the US. And actually, in fact, I think I have this on the wrong side here. Let me just slide this over real quick here. This fail sign is on the wrong one. Let's see if I can move that. Oh. There we go. The fail should be over here on the Canadian one. I don't know. I got that one wrong, but they're doing the right thing here. So if we take a look here, look, there's no click to call on the Canadian stuff. I type in oil change here. I'm in Toronto. I see nothing. It's not easy for me to do business versus in the US. Look at this. They have the get directions right there on the first ad plus the click to call. That's exactly what I want. Then I see coupons in $19.99. I'm able to make a buying decision directly from here. I don't even need to go to the website. So that's why, mobile is important, because the trends are up that people are searching on their phone. 2, what's really, really important is you got to get that click to call on there and your address on there. That's what people want. And if you have some benefits there like coupons or things like that that's going to seal the deal, let's do it. So the other thing that's really important is location matters. People are only willing to drive so far, so you need to understand your consumers and your customers and how far they'll drive. So what I recommend is, if you already run an AdWords campaign, and if you don't, you can run this after for a little while. You go over to your dimensions tab, okay, over here, and then you click on view distance, and you'll be able to see how many impressions and clicks and conversions you're getting within the distance around your location, which is really, really cool. So in this case, if we're looking at this particular client, we can see that once they get beyond 40 miles, the impressions and click-through rates and conversions really drop off. So, this is something that we might want to, pay attention to, may not want to bid there. Now, it's going to be different for every business. Some businesses, really need a really tight radius and others don't. So, geofencing is going to be really important to your business as well as maybe adjusting the bids around that. So, you want to pay attention to that. Also, note that if you're in a rural area, the chances are people will drive further. For example, if you live in Timbuktu and there's not a Walmart near you, you might drive further to a Walmart. So in that case, if you're a Walmart that's locally, you might want to expand your geofencing a little bit further to see if people will come there. However, marketing to people in the city, you could probably be a little bit tighter based on the locations you are. So if you have multi-locations, make sure you're getting that radius just right. Once you do, you can then set it like this through geofencing. You can set up the cities, you can set it by zip, by postal code. Another thing you can do is you can take a look at your buyers. If you have a database already, a lot of times you already have the zip or postal code there, and you can look at what exact postal code are people buying from you at, what are the ones that are coming, and then do a bid adjustment to bid stronger there. And what I mean by that is this. You can go into your locations tab, okay, and you can adjust the bids. So if you see over here in Toronto, we're increasing the bid by 10%, versus in North York, we're lowering it by 15%, and then Scarborough by 10%, probably because there's locations that are close here. Also note, just to toot our own whistle, check out these click-through rates on the right. An average click-through rate of 5.8 and 6.34, the one being at 8 and 12. Those are what we call unicorn click-through rates. You want to see that in your account. It's the norm. A lot of people will be happy with just 2%. At our agency, we think 2% click-through rate sucks. And we definitely want to improve upon that. And that's not only just for search. We think sometimes that sucks even in display. A lot of times people think a quarter of a percent in display is good. Well, not for us. Not particularly when we're targeting people who want leads or to drive phone calls or who want to drive store visits. I think that we can do better than that. So here's the big takeaway that we want to look at. The big takeaway is you need to add a click-to-call extension. And you can even enable it on mobile that you don't even show the website, that it forces the click-for-call. So when people see your ad, it actually pops up click to call. And this is why phone calls to businesses are worth, on average, 3 times more than clicks to websites. Okay. The second thing is that you got to take away is you need to bid aggressively. So adjust your bids, like in this. If you can see behind here, the screenshot behind this, where I'm adjusting the mobile device bids up by 40% to guarantee that you're going to be in positions 1 to 2. The first thing I do when I take over an AdWords account, we look at it. This is one of the first things we check. If we see that you're not in positions 1 to 2 for mobile, we immediately increase your bids, or the percentage of adjust the bids on mobile so that it's more aggressive. You need to be there. Okay. Also note, phone callers have a higher urgency to buy, generally speaking. And second, you need to get your address site links in there. If you're trying to drive more store visits, location matters. They need to know where you're located. So not only do you need to do the right geofencing based on that and adjust your bids based on the location, but you need to have it. It just needs to be there. So, if that's important to you, let's make sure that that's there. As well as, of course, the other site links. Let's not ignore that all site links grab more screen real estate, and the more screen real estate that you can have above the fold is good. And it's been proven many times over that adding site links can boost your click-through rate by 10 to 20%, and particularly when it's on your brand. And listen, you should be bidding on your own branded keywords. Absolutely, you should be doing that, and you should have a separate campaign, an unlimited budget for that you always show up for your name, and that you can control what is being said about your brand. And it's so cost effective because you're going to get a high click-through rate and a quality score of 10 out of 10. It costs just usually pennies to bid on yourself. Don't do it. Okay, so that talks about search. What I want to talk about next is, why the display network is awesome, okay? And the display network is really something like this iceberg, where a lot of times people are just sort of scratching the surface, and if they looked a little bit further into display, they're going to realize how many amazing features there are that makes this deliver an amazing ROI. At least it does for our clients. So let's get into this. I want you to just understand the opportunity of display too, because search is great. People go to solve their problems, and they're usually at the bottom of their buying funnel. Usually, not always. There is a top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel type keywords for every business. They're usually more so looking to solve a problem, get instant results depending on the business they're in. However, I want you to note this, that generally speaking, for people, only 20% of their time is ever spent searching. The other 80 or 79% is spent on other sites, doing other things, which generally speaking means the display network. So if you're looking for more visibility, and you're not focused outside of search and on display, you're missing 80% of your customer audience, which is just crazy to do. And if you're smart about it, you really can get in front of the exact buyers that you want to get in front of. So why is display so awesome? Because you can be smart about it, okay? And what I mean by about smart about it, you can leverage it based on demographics. So in display, they allow us to target people based on age, interests, and gender, even whether they're a parent or not. It's absolutely amazing. So for example, if you were running ads and you're trying to get more, enrollments to your beauty school, you're going to want to focus on, obviously, probably females who are 18 to 30. Why focus on anything else? That's 90% of it. So, generally speaking, I'd have to say that for almost 99% of all businesses out there, there's more inventory on Google Display Network than you have budget for. So let's not just market randomly on there, or even just with keywords. Even if you're going to target keywords, let's layer on top that demographic data. Another example, if you're in the divorce niche, for an example, you want to run creative that is different, text ads and creative that is different to females versus males, as well as at different age groups. And also, you're not going to target people under 24 probably for divorce. There's probably very few people who need one. So unless you have more budget than inventory, let's be smart about how we do it. Same thing with like oil changes. Let's say in your oil changes, women want to know different things than men. They have different obstacles and objections. Let's address those up front in different hot buttons. So I think that you could, if you leverage that and you pair your creative to it, it can do amazing things. And then if you layer it on top of things like context, where you're making sure that your ads only show up when the content on the page is related to your ad. So for example, if I was trying to get more enrollments to my beauty school, I'd want to make sure that my ads are only showing up on content that is related to education or obviously the beauty industry. That then makes it look like a well-placed ad, which makes the consumer in the mindset of doing that. What we don't want to do is just, obviously not be super targeted. And you can do this by targeting people's topics and interests. You can target keywords in combination of both, plus the demographics. Plus you can target geography to make sure that you're only reaching the people who are in your area. There's so many different layers you can put on that it's so specific that it works really, really well. And you can do this through text ads, banners on the content display network, through image ads, through videos. I'm telling you right now, videos are an amazing way to get more traffic to your website. You can do it through the ads or through video views as well. Like the cost for video views right now, I'm noticing for a lot of our clients, 2 cents, 3 cents. It's very inexpensive to expand your brand that way, as well as on mobile sites and through apps. So here's an example of one that happens. One of the cool things that you can do is once you get visitors to your website and get some data by putting a pixel on there, AdWords allows you to create similar audiences. So basically you can say, hey Google, here's all the people that came to our website. Go and find me people who haven't come to my website but look like this. What? That's amazing. And then what you can do is you can pair that up with other stuff based on demographics, based on, other information and context, and do really amazing things. If you take a look at this is one of our clients, and look at the click-through rate on this. This is the display network. I want to tell you again, I want to repeat that one more time. Display network. Average click-through rate of 3.1%. That deserves a shout out. I'm sorry. And look at the cost per click. This is in a niche where the cost per click on search for this is close to $8 to $12 per click. And here we're getting the cost per click at 18 cents. We're getting conversions on an average of $10.69, okay? Where the normal CPL rate on search would be closer to $80 in this niche. I'm not going to talk about what specific niche it is, but this is amazing. Not only that, we're targeting people who are in their area, the locations that they can target. Absolutely amazing. And we're doing bid adjustments on locations too. I mean, we're just layering this with so much stuff that it works really well, using very specific ads and testing very specific things. And this is when the magic happens. I just wanted to show you that the display network is an amazing place that can be super profitable for your business, and it should not be ignored. This brings us to the next part, which also deals with display and search, and it deals with remarketing. At the end of the day, 97% of the people who visit a website leave without completing the actions that marketers or you want them to take, which is usually phoning you or going in store or filling out your form or opting into some mailing list so they end up in your marketing funnel. And that makes this bear very sad. As you can see, he's very sad, this bear. And there are sites, now don't get me wrong, there's people who do a better job, and that's not the case, but on average, I'd say that's the case. And this is a reason why you need to do remarketing. Now, if you don't understand what remarketing is, it's very simple. Google gives you a pixel, a little snippet of code, and you put it on your website and put it there site-wide. And basically, people come to your website, they cookie them in the browser. And by cookieing them, we now know they've been to your website. If they don't take the actions that we want them to do, we can create these different segmented lists. And we can even create segmented lists based on the pages that they visit on your site. So for example, if you, sell laptops, if they bought that laptop online, we don't want to start presenting them laptop offers again. That's not very smart. We want to create a list and an excluded list that says they bought the laptop. Let's start marketing them different banner ads that are about, let's say, that are about laptop accessories. Or maybe, for example, let's say this is the case, you do oil changes, they downloaded your coupon. Well, obviously they're probably going to take action on it and redeem it. You know that it's probably a good 50% chance that. Why not follow up with banner ad a couple days later asking for reviews? Because remember, consumers want to see reviews. So why not build your review portfolio by asking for that? Or why don't you bring that remarketing list back up again in 3 to 4 months, which is the normal time that you would want to have something going to them about getting their next oil change because it's reoccurring. An example would be as well too, like another example would be, with restaurants. You could make a special offer if they've been to your website and taken action. Or let's say that they visit a particular page on your website and it's about one particular thing. Let's say you're a store like Winners. If they visited the menswear section, well, they go into a list and then obviously we want to remarket to them menswear, generally speaking. We don't necessarily know their gender, but we want to probably bring them back to that versus, the females. Or if they're looking at shoes, then we might want to, you can make really interesting offers, okay? Now, the one thing that you want to do is you still want to pair it with context so that your ads look like well-placed ads instead of ads that are just following you around. There's nothing worse than a company who just like site-wide cookies you and then follows around the same banner ad over and over and over again until it feels like it's stalking to you. You're going to be aware of that. So make sure that you do some impression capping. I recommend, no more than 12 to 20 a day. Even that's a bit aggressive. And then make sure that your ads only show up if the keyword is relevant or the topic or interest is relevant. Now, what you can do is you can still do remarketing for search too. And I recommend that you do. So if they don't take the action that you want and they're searching for your keyword, you probably want to be a little bit more aggressive on that list so that it defaults to your marketing list on those keywords and it forces your ad to show up, because often people need to touch different websites 4 to 7 times before they're willing to make a buying decision. I think there's some data out there that says that people on average look at 10 different sources before they make a decision to go into a store or make that phone call. So be sure to do remarketing. It really is your secret weapon, and it's silly not to do it because you're leaving money on the table. You've already got people to the website. Often it's a lot cheaper to bring them back through the display network or even through remarketing and search than it is to pay for that click again in search. So do that. Let's be smart about it. Let's create segmented lists like this. You can see how we're creating different segmented lists based on the pages they do or the actions they take on it. And then layer that with context and demographic data to be able to get them to come back to your website and take the actions that you want them to do cost effectively. So to summarize real quick what we learned today, and there's really like a lot of things that we could do. There's quite a few of these things that we can do. If you're watching this video, you're most likely on a page where there's a downloadable associated with this. So even though I talked about just these few things, this is where we really only talked about 5 major things, but there's really many more things that you want to look at when you're doing an AdWords account. So we talked about mobile. Mobile ads are super important. They're trending up. You need to do mobile if you want to be visible. Organic is not even visible mobile. There's 2 ads, then 1 organic, so you got to be there. 2 is you got to bid aggressively on mobile. Remember that, okay? 3 is you need to stand out, so you need to have your site links, okay? And make sure the phone number is there and the address is there. If you need in-store visits, and that's what this is all about, multi-location stores, this is this particular webinar, do some sort of geofencing, be smart about it. Don't forget that display rocks and remarketing rocks. Remember, you could geofence remarketing and display. So we're not just blindly remarketing everywhere. We're targeting people specifically who are in your area that could come there when they're on other sites. So you want to do that. Now, what we have is an asset. If you're seeing this video, there's probably a download button somewhere. If there isn't, you can always email me. But we have this checklist that we use when we're auditing businesses. And it's 75 questions. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can download that. Just probably you have to just enter your email address, download it. Don't worry, we're not going to spam you, and go through that and audit your account. Now, if you're also watching this and you have a business that has multi locations in it, okay. Even if you don't, we may consider it, but we're really, talking here to businesses that have multiple locations, 12, 30, 500, 600 locations. It doesn't have to be that many, but it has to be quite a few. We are, for a limited time, I don't know how long we're going to have this. So, right now it's December 2014. I don't know if we're going to offer this in 2015 because, we're super busy. But right now, if you get in touch with me, sooner than later, you can just email me and just say, hey, I watched this event. I watched this webinar about multi-location campaigns in AdWords. I want a free audit. And honestly, this audit has a value, in my opinion, of close to $1,000. So we'll go through this checklist, look at your account, and audit it, and provide you feedback on the things that you're missing that you maybe you should consider doing, and the opportunities that you could pursue to get a better ROI out of your AdWords account, being able to drive either more phone calls or more in-store visits. Anyways, this is Matthew Hunt from Powered by Search. Hopefully you found this valuable. If you want to get in touch with us, just visit poweredbysearch.com, and you can reach out through the phone number there, or any of the contact forms, or download any more of our white papers and resources. If you're watching this video somewhere where you can actually give it a thumbs up or make a comment, feel free to do that. And again, if you want to get in touch with me about anything about your AdWords, feel free to directly email me. That's the best thing. Tell me that you watched this webinar, what your questions are, and what you need me to do, and I'll follow up with you within 24 hours on business days, generally speaking, unless I'm on vacation or something like that, in which case you'll probably get a vacation notice. And that's Matthew at poweredbysearch.com. Hope you're having a brilliant day, and look forward to hearing from you. Bye for now.